Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and tonight Eric Hansen's back, and we are talking the band Survivor. So get ready, this is going to be great.
Talking bands that no one talks about. Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse, and I want to welcome Eric Hansen here tonight. Eric, welcome to the show. How are you? You haven't been on just with me. We've always had Paul badgering us, holding us back. No, I'm joking, I love Paul. But we're here tonight. And Eric is here. We're going to talk the band Survivor. And who's talking Survivor? Nobody is, but we're talking Survivor on the Warehouse tonight. So if anybody knows Survivor, this band is from Chicago. 1978 is when they formed. Jim Peterick and Frankie Sullivan, pretty much, well, they are the founding members. Without them, they wouldn't have started. Their claim to fame, though, is the 1982 hit from Rocky, was it Rocky 3? Rocky 3, Eye of the Tiger. So if everybody knows that song, it's an anthem, and it really took off. And I think that really solidified the band as a major force. Though I do believe they've had, well, we'll get to it. I don't want to jump all the way through it. But anyway, Eric, how are you? Nice to have you on the show. This will be a fun discussion. And like I said, we're just going to do like a career retrospective. We're just going to do an overview of the band, see if we can turn some people onto it. Eric is a big Survivor fan, so we're just going to talk about the records briefly, and we'll just see where it goes. We always keep it loose. So like I said, Eric, how are you? Nice to see you.
I'm doing good, Grant. Thanks for having me on. This will be fun.
This will be good.
Little broad stroke of a little Midwest Chicago band, Survivor.
But this band's still playing, correct? I'm not sure exactly who, but they've had a lot of member changes. A lot of members come and go. The main member, Frankie Sullivan, is still there, still playing lead guitar, still doing backing vocals, and he's always been a mainstay.
Yes.
As far as the other members, I couldn't tell you. Have you seen the current lineup of Survivor?
Last time I saw them was probably late 90s.
Okay.
So I have not seen anything with recent.
Okay. Well, that's fair. Studio albums. They put out, what? Help me. Survivor came out in 1979. Yep. They've had 8 albums.
Yep.
8 albums. The first album came out in 1979.
Yep.
It really didn't do anything. But with each album, they got a little bit more momentum. And of course, when Eye of the Tiger hit, that album and that track in 82, and I remember back in 82, we were playing that song. You could not escape Eye of the Tiger. It was such a big hit. It totally put them on the map. But they had other good albums. Caught in the Game from 83. Vital Signs was a big record in 84. But we're going to talk about that. So let's bring it back. Let's talk about that first Survivor album in 1979. And I want to mention that's the
so this is the rock, anytime you see the sticker, that's the Rock Candy reissue.
Yeah. Brain Problem.
This is the actress Kim Basinger.
Yeah.
She was the model for the album cover here. So this is it's 1979. Scott
produced by Ron Nevison. And Barry Mass.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when I was doing some research about this record, evidently there was a lot of production issues. Barry started out as the producer. They brought in Ron, but there was a lot of problems with this. What do you know anything about the problems? And it took them how long to get this record out? Do you know?
It was 8 months.
Oh my God.
for this thing to get released.
Mm-hmm.
And they were playing, doing shows and gigs and everything. And they finally released it. It's out in record stores. The band goes and records a song called Rebel Girl. Just to have something for their encore.
Mm-hmm.
And they start playing it live. Scotty Brothers got wind of it. Whoa, this song rocks. We need to get you guys in the studio to record it so we can get it on the album. Problem is, that song did so well here in the Midwest, Chicago, Milwaukee area, but it didn't really break out nationwide. And by the time this is out, they never put it on, the actual album. But if you get these Rock Candy Records releases, which I highly recommend,
I know
it's on. They added it as a bonus track. It's a great song. It kind of really shows, they're at the end of the day, this is a great straight ahead melodic hard rock band at their core. And that song and really this album showcases that.
But this band got together in 78, right?
Yes.
And it didn't take them long to get signed to what were they on? MCA? No, they were on Scotty Brothers. That's right.
Scotty Brothers finally picked them up.
It didn't take long for them to get signed. I mean, do you know anything about how that came about?
Yeah, Jim Peterick, very prolific songwriter, co-writer. I mean, that guy has written from 38 Special songs to the Beach Boys, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Sammy Hagar. The list goes on. So he was originally with the Ides of March, and they had that big song Vehicle. And then the band kind of broke up, and he started kind of helping out or almost joined the band Chase. So Chase was kind of like this rock fusion, like Blood, Sweat, and Tears, or the
kind
band
of like a combination of Blood, Sweat, and Tears in Chicago.
Yes. So they had a song called "Get It On." That was like their hit, and unfortunately, there was a plane crash and 4 of the members died.
Oh, in Chase?
Yes. Yeah.
How did I miss that? I had no idea. How horrible.
I think early 70s.
Did that end I'm assuming did that end the band then?
Yep. That was it.
Because really, when I was growing up, I don't know about you, but no one really knew about that band. No one talked about them when I was in high school. No. They were like a blip on the screen. Yeah. May they rest in peace. I'm not saying that, but they were never anything on I'm not even sure I could recognize a Chase song. I think they did have a hit. I know we're on a tangent, but
yeah, no, that's okay. I think that's going to happen here. There's another band like that in the I think late 60s, early 70s called Lighthouse.
Yeah.
And they had a song called One Fine Morning, which is a terrific song. Very similar, like Chase, Chicago, but and in all during this, in the meantime, the original lead singer for Survivor, Dave Bickler, he was in a local band called the Jamestown Massacre, and they had a song in 1972 called "Summer Sun" that got a lot of radio play here in Chicago, Milwaukee area, I think Indianapolis. That's a terrific, like, deep cut. So Dave sang co-lead vocals on that. And like I said, 1972, I think was that. So that's a great song.
So a lot of these guys have been around. They've been playing in bands. Survivor wasn't just,
No,
they've been around. They're seasoned musicians. I do have a quick question though. That track "Rebel Girl" though, as a bonus track, did that ever come out on any other CD release, or is it just on that Rock Candy one?
These guys have like 15, 16, 17 compilation albums.
It has to be on something.
Ultimate Survivor. It's like a collection. It's got like the tiger look, like the orange. It's on there because a lot of those songs were remastered, so they added that one on there. And then that was the only time I saw it until they put it on the bonus. Rock Candy put it on the bonus for the debut. But yeah, so, I think they released it. I think it was released on a 45 back in the 80s.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Good too. Cool. Well, I guess the Japanese release of this record had "Rebel Girl" on it. So I don't know when the Japanese release came out, but evidently there was a bit of a, who knows when they introduced Survivor over to the Japanese market. But the reviews for this, AllMusic gives it 3 out of 5. I mean, it's okay. Well, how do you look at this record?
I think it's a terrific first record. There's the back half is the band. This is
I need to get that Rock Candy CD. Yeah.
So this had Dave Bickler on vocals, Jim Peterick. He was doing keyboards and guitar. You had Frankie Sullivan. You had at the time Dennis Keith Johnson on bass and Gary Smith on drums for this record. It's a great introduction, and really, to me, this is the sound they came in with the sound, and throughout their whole catalog, they kind of kept with it. I give them props. They never really swayed outside of maybe 2 albums that we'll get to. But like I said before, straight ahead, melodic hard rock band. The thing that these guys are always compared to is Journey. Why? Both great lead singers. Journey had Faithfully and Open Arms. These guys had, The Search Is Over and Across the Miles. But if you listen to Frankie Sullivan's guitar on all these records, except for they're the 2, they're a little heavier, quote unquote, harder rocking. I always compared these guys more like first two albums of Foreigner, first two albums by Boston,
okay, yeah.
Night Ranger, where a little less.
I could see maybe kind of more like Night Ranger, maybe.
Yeah. Where Journey, to me, they're the ultimate like arena rock, stadium rock band. AOR, all those terms mean the same to me.
Right.
But Journey, REO Speedwagon, Loverboy, Pat Benatar, they're kind of like over here, where I always put Survivor with those other bands, the Night Rangers, the early Foreigner and everything. Like I said, just a little bit more aggressive in the guitar. I mean, Frankie Sullivan, these guys can rock, especially in these early albums. But yeah, I really enjoy this. Like I said, you mentioned 8 Months. There's some great songs on here. Somewhere in America. Can't Get You Off My Mind. Young Blood's almost like a precursor to Eye of the Tiger. Whole Town's Talking is just fun. Great hooks. Yeah, Bickler sounds great on it. If we were doing a ranking, Gary, jeez.
You can call me Gary.
I see. I'm looking at Gary Smith, the drummer. Grant, if we were doing a ranking, this deserves to be high, but I would probably put it toward the bottom.
Okay. Well,
how strong this catalog is.
Do you think it would have been I don't want to spend too much time on, but I think we're good. But what I'm saying, if let's say Rebel Girl was on this album, would it have made it a stronger record? You know, you probably could have pulled something else off, but I mean, if it was part of the original release, do you think that would have made a difference? But, you know, because this record only got up to 169 on the charts. It didn't really do any. It was a blip, to be honest. Did pretty good in Chicago area.
It did.
Yeah. But I'm just curious.
Girl probably would have been that single.
Yeah.
To kind of put it over the top.
Yeah.
But
so anyway, anybody listen, check it out. You know, let us know what you think of it if you know this record. But you think you would rate it more lower to the lower end, even though you find it enjoyable.
Oh, yeah.
It still has the blueprint of what Survivor. Yes. You listen to this and you still think that's Survivor.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, you know how a lot of bands, they put out a record and they morph over time. It seems like Survivor was fully realized.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they tweak things, but you know, well, that's Survivor. Because they're very identifiable. It's an identifiable sound. So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at that second record. So we're talking Premonition. Which I'm looking at. Excellent. I'm looking at the album cover, and it kind of makes me laugh. It's kind of, I don't know.
It's kind of goofy.
But that's okay. How did this record do? This came out, released in October of 81. So we've got a little bit of a
year or two gap
to get something together. So this came out in 81. First album to use that Survivor script logo.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
And this also got released by Rock Candy. Are there any bonus tracks on that?
Not on this one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it had singles Poor Man's Son that got up to 33 on the US chart, what's good. And Summer Nights it's got on 62. All tracks are written by Jim Peterick and Frankie Sullivan, like usual, pretty much. Yes. What's your thoughts on this record?
So this is the first one where they brought in Stephen Ellis on bass and Mark Joubert on drums. And it was produced by Peterick and Sullivan. So they wouldn't produce it themselves. Great 8 songs. This might be their shortest record. It's 8 songs, but that wasn't
pretty 2 minutes.
Yeah, that wasn't uncommon though for early 80s and 70s albums. 8-9 tracks on but great hooks. Love the energy. They started with 2 bangers, Chevy Nights and Summer Nights. Summer Nights should have been huge. And I think on the original release, there's a bridge in Summer Nights that wasn't on the original release. And
Missing Persons?
Right. And I think on that Ultimate Survivor Greatest Hits, I think they added that bridge into the song.
Really?
And it's on here. It's
okay.
It puts the song on. But this to me, starts maturing the band toward the success of what was to come, especially on the next album. But yeah, love it. Well, this is probably top 5 for me.
Top 5.
Yeah.
So do you think this is where things really started to? Well, the first album, but now they, like I said, they hone their skills.
Yep.
They're getting, we've had a lineup change pretty much. It's almost a different band other than, Dave, Jim, and Frankie, right? Yeah. We got a new rhythm section. When you listen to it, can you tell that we've got new players, or is that Survivor sounds so ingrained in it? It's probably, Jim and Frankie probably what make the yes. Well, Dave too, don't get me wrong, but.
Yes. But yeah, no, I noticed, I went back and listened to all these albums last week. Mm-hmm. I wanted to pick up something, and I paid more attention to, you hear the songs and you hear the singing so many times. I'm like, I noticed the drumming and the rhythm section just on a few songs. It's like, I wonder what this would have sounded like with Dennis or Gary Smith on drums and Dennis on bass. Mm-hmm. I give props to Stephen Ellis and Mark Drubay. They kind of really solidified what made this band so great.
And of course, we have Daryl Dragon playing additional keyboards.
Yes.
Captain and Tennille, Daryl Dragon. Just to let everyone know.
Is that where? Oh, Captain.
That's Tennille? The captain. Daryl Dragon's the captain.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
yeah.
And you know what? Here's a book I recommend. Jim Peterick's book, Through the Eye of the Tiger. Mm-hmm. It's been a couple years since I read it, and he probably mentioned that in there, but geez, I couldn't.
And I noticed in the production, co-producer Artie Kornfeld, he was one of the producers. See, I think him and Jim go way back. They must go way back because Artie was one of the producers of the Woodstock Festival.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of names on here that I, when I'm looking at the credits.
It's, reading this book is kind of like reading Steve Lukather's book. I mean, the guy just knows everybody.
Yeah, well, he's been in the industry for so long. Yeah. Yes. So you dig this record? One of their best? You think this is top tier Survivor albums?
Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, it did perform better. I do want to add that it got up to 82 on the Billboard Top 200. So that's better. We're getting there, ladies and gentlemen. So after that, we jump to what year? We're at Eye of the Tiger, 1982.
1982.
This is where everything started. Big guns. They just went crazy. So on this record, Eye of the Tiger's obviously the main track, but how did this record do? Oh, well, it reached number 2 on the top 200.
You could not hear that song on the radio back then. And I was young, but I loved it. I mean, I had that on 45. You hear that beginning riff, and it's just like, yes. Mm-hmm. But again, listen, and the title track is kind of lost because the rest of this album is really good. And again, heavy guitar work by Frankie Sullivan. I mean, geez, Hesitation Dance. One that really matters, Children of the Night. Oh, heavy. American Heartbeat, great keyboards in that. And probably Dave Bickler sounds absolutely fantastic on this record. I mean, he sings his tail off on this.
Yeah, I think Dave brings it, obviously.
Yeah.
Daryl Dragon's also playing keyboards on this.
Yep.
Produced by Frankie Sullivan. He's doing the production on this. I don't know. How does this compare with the second record to you?
This would be my third favorite. It's also got Fergie Frederiksen on background vocals, who sang on Toto's Isolation album in '84. And there's that rumor going around, Dave started to have vocal problems because these songs aren't easy to sing.
Well, no.
In the case, Fergie and shocking, Jim Peterick were friends, and he got to do some background vocals on the record. And I also think Peterick and Sullivan, they had that Lennon-McCartney, even though they always kind of butted heads because of the different visions they had for the band, they came into their own right here on this record. Great songs. Again, heavy. Top. This is top-notch stuff by the band here. Love it.
All right, cool. Excellent. Do they ever look at Fergie to come in and replace Dave at any point?
No. Look at that's coming.
It's coming. I see Mike Klink was the engineer on this.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that one was produced by this one was produced by Peterick and Sullivan again.
Mm-hmm.
So
all right, good one. But this is where everything took off. I'm trying to think, so Eye of the Tiger went to #1 in the US and the UK.
Yep.
Oh, and they had another single, Heartbeat, that reached number 17.
Yes.
So they only had. Wait a minute.
I think Ever Since the World Began on here was also, and I'd have to look.
So American Heartbeat, that was the second single.
Yes. But the song Ever Since the World Began, I think that was also considered to be on the Rocky III soundtrack also, but I don't think it ever got on there. Or if it did, it didn't, it was just added on to the song. But boy, Sylvester Stallone's movie really helped these guys.
Well, it's a perfect track for it. Come on. It's an anthem.
Yes.
Right?
Still to this day.
Till this day, you hear it and you identify with it. It's just ingrained into everybody's DNA at this point. So great. So next record is 1983, Caught in the Game. Now,
bring out the big one here.
I always kind of chuckle at this because if it's something screams 80s, this album cover does in a good way. I'm not making fun of it, but it does scream. Well, it looks like Tron.
Tron, I was about to say.
So it came out October of 83, and that's not, let's see.
Yeah.
Eye of the Tiger's 82. That came out winter of 80. No, June of 82. So it's a year after, not, a little later than a year.
Yep.
And that's what people were doing back then. It would be like an album a year.
Yeah.
And this was the last album to feature Dave. Because he's going to get vocal surgery.
Yes.
How do you look at this? I mean, can you tell when you listen to this record, can you tell that Dave's hurting? Can you pick anything up like that?
It's interesting you say he sounds good on this album. He really does.
Mm-hmm.
My only complaint, there are sometimes in certain songs, voice sounds a little weathered, but he was having vocal problems. He ended up having to have surgery to remove polyps or the nodes or whatever, which caused the band, his recovery went a little bit longer than what Peter, Rick, and Sullivan thought it was going to be. In order to keep the band going, they had to make a tough decision to start, trying some guys out. But that's a minor complaint. And Grant, probably my second favorite Survivor record.
Okay, well then there you go. It's good. But I mean, we do replace Dave. We'll get to that.
Yes.
But I just want to say that he did rejoin the band later for several stints. So
yes,
it's all good.
Yeah.
Like I said, they've had a revolving door, this band. Right now we've been stable for three. This is the third record where we've been stable with a stable lineup. So, but we do have some guests on here. We have Richard Page from Mr. Misters on here and Kevin Cronin from our
Yeah.
It's great. Couple of singles. First single, Caught in the Game, went to 77. And then I Never Stop Loving You.
Yep.
Only reached 104. So there seems like from the outside, even though you like this record, people might say, well, we've had the band's slipping a bit. I'm not saying that, but I can look at this because this, okay, think about it. You've got Eye of the Tiger, big record. For a band to do that again, not everybody's the Beatles. Not everybody is.
No.
Insert name here.
Sure.
You look at that. I'm not saying that there's a change in quality, but they didn't achieve what they had before.
No.
So, what's your thoughts on this record? How do you look at it? Because you obviously really like it, but
this is probably their hardest rocking. And I don't want to say the word dark or, dark album, but this is definitely their hardest rocking. The title track, that is an absolutely killer riff, killer chorus. Again, heavy. Jackie, don't go. Doesn't have to be this way. Ready for the Real Thing. I always thought they would have pushed that one. That could have been like their main single. Half-Life is kind of little out there for them. Little different. What do you really think? Slander's heavy. Santa Ana Wins. Great. So you mentioned about, this is a follow-up to Eye of the Tiger. So 1983, why didn't this sell? My thoughts are partly bad timing and luck. Number two, it's 1983. What was all over the radio in 1983? Michael Jackson's Thriller came out early December. It was all over. It was still that shelf life on that album. I mean, I remember all over 83. You had Beat It, you had Billie Jean, you had, The Girl Is Mine. Mental Health by Quiet Riot went number 1. You had Synchronicity by The Police. You had Sports by Huey Lewis and the News. So this just kind of got lost. I think the songs were there. I think it's more of a mature album. And, I think it just came, that whole rush with 83, all those singles. New Wave was still kind of big. You had all those New Wave one-hit wonders were all over the radio. Yeah, it just kind of got lost in the shuffle. But years later, the diehard Survivor fans look at this one and they rank this high like I do.
Well, why do they rank it so high? What is it about this record that fans like, and what do you like about this?
Like I said, I love the heaviness. That's
the heaviness.
And like I was saying before, it's just they're a little bit. I love Frankie Sullivan's aggressive guitar tone, his approach to the band. We're gonna about to talk about Jimmy Jameson, but I want to give props to Dave Bickler. That guy can sing great.
I probably think most people, the most casual fans, probably don't even realize that there was a singer change. You know what I mean? Well, we haven't got there. Like I said, this is the last one with Dave. So, but you like the hard edge to it.
Yeah.
Do you think they've even refined it a bit more? It's just, I'm going to say this, Eric. I think it's timing and changing musical landscapes.
Yes.
They had their moment in 82, big. And, it's very hard for a band to keep that momentum going. And this record could be like one of those records. Like you said, the fans love this record.
Yep.
Hardcore Survivor fans love it.
And I think this is, what I mentioned earlier about Peterick and Sullivan having a little bit different vision. This is a Frankie Sullivan record because Jim will write those hooks and more in that pop commercial radio friendly direction where Frankie liked to rock, and it's all over this record.
And he's listed as the producer on this too, even though Jim and Frankie did most of the co-writing. Well, all except one song.
Except the one song, yeah. That was.
What do you really think?
What do you really think? Yeah, that was Jim, and that's more of a melodic, mid-paced number.
All right, cool. All right. Good record. We get a thumbs up from Eric on this one.
Yeah.
Now, Vital. Okay, the next record, Vital Signs, 1984. Now, when I think Survivor of all the records, look at the hype sticker on that. When I think Survivor, I think this record for some reason, and in my monkey brain, I don't know why, but this had 4 singles off of it.
Yeah.
How did this chart? This came out in September of 84. This was the second most successful album in the US. This album took off as opposed to the record that I don't get it. I never understand why things take off. This got to number 16 on the Billboard charts. It had 4 singles off of it. I Can't Hold Back, which reached 13. High on You. Oh, God, what a great song.
Oh, yeah.
8. The Search Is Over, number 4. First Night, 53. Big hit singles. Holy crap. All of side 1 is a hit single. It's kind of like their version of Sports.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
one song hit after another.
Yeah.
Same thing as before. Jim Peterick and Frankie Sullivan writing the tracks. Only now we've got Jimmy Jameson on lead vocals is brought in. So, what do you know about this record? What can you tell us about this?
So, yeah, like I was saying, Dave, had to get surgery, and so they started auditioning some guys, and it almost came down to Kevin Shelton, who went on to be the lead singer for The Storm. Greg Rowley, Ross Valerie, Steve Smith from Journey. They had
great.
I got a lot to learn about love. Great arena rock, great AOR album. But they brought in Jimmy Jameson, who used to sing for Target and then a band called Cobra. And once they heard Jimmy sing, well, you hear Jimmy sing, to me, that guy can sing the Burger King menu. And he's one of my favorites. Again, props to Dave.
Love Dave.
But Jimmy's Jimmy.
Do you think Jimmy do you think that had a lot to do with it? Do you think that because this record was a big, no, they could never achieve Eye of the Tiger. We're beyond that. But do you think getting Jimmy in the band, do you think that had something to do with, did that revitalize them? Do you think? Well, we still have Steven, we still have Mark, we still have the same rhythm section.
Yes.
Same band, same class. I'm going to say classic lineup, but now we've got a new singer. And
look who produced it, Ron Nevinson.
Interesting. Who produced the first record, who's back. Yeah.
So, and the success he had later with Heart's self-titled album in '85. He did Cheap Trick, and he had success for a lot. I've read a lot of bands, Night Ranger. I know he was difficult to work with, but I think he pushed the musicians and the vocalists to the point where it's just like, this is the way it has to be in order for you guys to get to that next level. Some bands didn't appreciate it. Some did. I know Peterick was fine with them. Jack Blades and the guys from Night Ranger would find them. Other bands, but this you hit on something here, Grant. This album revitalized the band, and the first song they did with Jimmy Jameson was "The Moment of Truth," which would end up on the Karate Kid soundtrack.
And that's on the Rock Candy reissue too.
Yes, that's the added bonus track. Probably, I think this is their second shortest record, because there's only 9 songs. But the band was a little disappointed because "The Moment of Truth" wasn't until the credits rolled after the movie was over.
Ooh, ouch.
So this is their. I was saying they're a little bit more of a straight ahead hard rock band. We are now into the arena rock. You just mentioned those songs, but to me,
quote unquote. And
but
look what happened. I triggered the.
They're celebrating.
Yeah, we're celebrating. Woo. Yeah. So anyway,
there's not a bad song on here. To me, this is, Broken Promises, Everlasting. I See You in Everyone. What a hook! Melodies, catchy choruses. It's accessible. Oh.
You love it. You love this record.
This.
That's it.
This is number one.
That's number one. Do you think, even though you love this record, I'm just throwing it out there, do you think it would have been? Could they have gotten like 5 singles out of this had "The Moment of Truth" been that 5th single? Do you think that would have made it a stronger record?
Well, "Moment of Truth" is not a bad song. It's an okay song. I think they could have got something out of "Popular Girl" or "I See You in Everyone." "Everlasting" would be another ballad. It's crazy to me. This is just like, if everybody can't talk today, Grant.
I know, I'm having the same problem.
If anybody ever asked me, give me a good arena rock AOR album, I'm grabbing this. Go listen, because top to bottom, it's like Escape or Frontiers by Journey.
Good, I dig it.
Yeah,
you've got me sold.
Yes.
I noticed that Peter Wolf is doing synthesizers. He's also a producer. Yes. Mickey Thomas is doing background vocals. And you know what? I wasn't hip until I was looking at the liner notes, but I can hear Mickey Thomas on this record.
Yeah.
Because some of it kind of reminds me of Starship to some degree.
Yeah, Jefferson Starship. There'd be another band.
Well,
before Starship, Jefferson Starship, not Starship.
Right, not. Yeah, I need to make sure I'm saying this properly. Not Starship, but that Jefferson Starship, there's a certain era in there.
Yeah.
Freedom at Point Zero,
Nuclear Furniture.
Which I think, okay, right, exactly. Yeah. That era.
Yes.
That this kind of reminds me of a little bit. And it just kind of does. It just.
There's some great songs on those.
There's a tie there. There's a tie.
Yes.
Mickey Thomas, and you can't, Eric. Mickey Thomas is such an identifiable
that guy
singer that if he sings with, holy crap, he sings with Jimmy or the whole band. You know what I mean? Jesus Christmas.
Mickey Thomas is he's one of those guys that just, when you talk about some great vocalists, he's one of the guys I never mentioned, and he should be in there with the best of them. That guy.
Yeah.
What a setup.
People don't really talk about him that much.
No.
Holy crap, that Elvin Bishop stuff he sang on, but
yeah.
I like Jefferson Starship Freedom at Point Zero. I love that record.
Yes, is that the one with
Jane? Jane's on it.
Yes.
It's got no Grace Slick, but it's all, I don't know. I don't think there's a weak song on it.
No.
I love that record.
No.
So I welcome Mickey Thomas backing vocals here because I think he works well with the band. He sounds really good. So
He whatever. He does.
So this was a success. So we got that. That's 84. The next record, When Seconds Count, came out in 86.
Yes.
So we've got a couple years off in between. And, in the 80s, you take a couple of years off, that can make a difference.
Yeah.
But you've got Jimmy, you got Jim Peterick still there, Frankie, Steven. It's the same lineup as the previous record.
This is the second record with Jimmy singing on it.
What's your thoughts on it? This doesn't get a good... All Music only gave this a 2-star rating. Not that All Music knows anything, but what will Eric Hansen give this record? What's your thoughts on this 86 record?
So produced again by Ron Nevinson and Frankie Sullivan.
All right.
If you were to ask me 15, 20 years ago, this is probably top 5.
But now?
This is probably their most pop rock record. There is some terrific songs on this. I mean, a lot of keyboards.
Yeah.
Again, this is 1986.
Well,
everybody was doing keyboards and synth. I don't care if it was ZZ Top,
right,
or Survivor, or Gary Moore, or Journey.
I don't have a problem with keyboards. No. It is what it is.
Some call it, this is their cheesy album, quote unquote. But sometimes cheesy's, it is what it is. Geez, How Much Love Is This Love? It was another big hit.
Got to number 9.
Man Against the World, the vocal by Jimmy Jameson. I think he did that in one or two takes. Rebel Son, In Good Faith, an underrated ballad. Can't Let You Go. That's got Tommy Shaw doing background vocals again. And the bonus track, Burning Heart.
See, thumbs up balloon. You can't beat that. Anytime we mention Tommy Shaw, we give a thumbs up.
Yes.
There you go.
You could tell there at Burning Heart. I think they just I think it came down to from I remember, a contract issue with the soundtrack and putting it on the album.
Okay.
Would it have really dented it and put it that much higher? Because this did very well. Maybe a notch or two higher. It's a great song.
They got to 49 on the charts. Yeah. I mean, they're slipping.
Yeah.
You know what I find interesting though, that the single got up to number 9, but the album didn't fare as well. Again, Eric, I don't know why things work the way they do, but you would think that this record would have everything going for it to.
It's great. It's just, for me, it's just a little bit more on the poppier side, but the songs and the hooks and everything's there. And you could tell they were going for a more polished sound, trying to follow up this. These, out of their whole catalog, these are the outliers. But
wait a minute. What do you mean those are the outliers? Those are the outliers?
From being what they were here and here, where they were more like hard rock.
Mm-hmm.
Grant, this is top-notch stuff right here. I love these albums.
So, but you love those records, but wouldn't those other ones be outliers? Because these two records, When Seconds Count and Vital Signs, the way you're passionate about them, wouldn't you think that?
I think my as I've gotten older, my musical taste have changed. I think it always.
So you wouldn't have put these up as high 20 years ago?
This was always number one.
That was always number one.
This one probably a little lower, but again, if someone came to me, this is the best Survivor album, I wouldn't argue with them.
I don't think any Striper members are on there, but I could be wrong.
I know the band, Michael Sweet, the lead singer, loves these guys. So
he does?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't argue with any ranking from these.
All right. Cool. I love it. Yeah. Well, this makes me really interested about this next record that we're going to talk about, Too Hot to Sleep from 1988, which to me, they changed the logo, which I think was a mistake.
Yeah.
This only got up to 187 on the charts. But it's the lineup. Okay. We got some changes here in the lineup.
It's Jimmy, Jim, Frankie, and then you got Bill Sinaire on bass, Mickey Curry on drums. So no,
Mickey Curry's great.
Yeah,
played with Hall & Oates. Great drummer.
Yep.
Ian
no
Lloyd,
Mark Dubray or Stephen Ellis on here. Tommy Shaw, background vocals though.
Ian Lloyd, background vocals.
Yep.
Which is also great. Rory, I can't say his name. Rory Dodd, additional lead vocals. So looking over the tracks, all the tracks are Peter Sullivan and Jimmy on Too Hot to Sleep, and that's pretty much it. But what happened here? This was considered a failure.
This is their most rockin'. This is kind of like a throwback to the Bickler days with Jimmy Jameson. Some great songs. She's a Star, Heavy, Desperate Dreams. I think it was a little bit of a single. Too Hot to Sleep, the title track. Didn't Know It Was Love. Across the Miles was a minor hit. Love the melody and Jimmy's vocals on there. Tell Me on the One.
What's your thoughts?
Yeah, Scotty Brothers is having distribution changes here. So the promotion, they toured a little bit, but there was no push for this album. There's no promotion. And for a long time, this went out of print. You had to get it on import.
Well, there was a lot of these records based on what I've been reading is like in 2009, everything went out of print other than Vital Signs.
Yes.
They kept that one in print, but everything else, goodbye. Of course, in 2010, that's when Rock Candy reissued them. But
it
seems odd that. Do you think it's because Scotty Brothers was a mess and
it was?
They folded,
and Jimmy
they folded.
Yeah, Jimmy wanted to do a solo record, which caused a little bit of dissent with the band members. But it's also 1988. What was all over MTV and the radio, glam metal.
Yeah, I don't think these guys would have fit in.
Which is interesting because if you look at that back cover, they all look like they belong.
Well, they're trying, Eric. They're trying.
But yeah, it's I love it. This is a top 5 for me.
It's top 5.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do your ranking when we get back to it. When this in 88, I don't even remember this at all. Seeing it anywhere. I don't remember any promotion. I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah. Desperate Dreams I remember hearing. But yeah, no, as far as and I was listening to all that glam metal stuff and heavy metal at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But, I knew this was out, but I think I had it on cassette tape. But then I tried to look for it for CD for years and, out of print. But yeah, it's...
All right. Well, so the band breaks up.
Yes.
This is the final album with Peterick.
Yeah.
He's done.
He's gone. Jimmy does his solo stuff. I think for a while, so in the early 90s then, Dave Bickler came back to the band. I think Robin McCauley sang for them for a while from Michael Schenker Group.
Wow.
And Macaulay Schenker.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I saw them on tour. I saw them at a fest one time, and it was weird because then there was an argument about who's using the name Survivor. So when I saw them with Jimmy, it was Jimmy Jameson Survivor. And then the other 2 times I saw it was Frankie and Dave. Oh, it was like a hot mess. Both bands sounded great live.
I'm sure they were both great, but
and Peterick wasn't in with either of them. So, because he was out doing his what do they call that? His world, not world. He had like a bunch of musicians from the Midwest with him. Mm-hmm. Boy, the name is escaping me.
That's all right.
But yeah.
Anyway, Jim, I if we were looking at it, I would think that Frankie Sullivan should be the one with the name, not Jimmy, but whatever. That's a long time ago. I'm sure they probably got that all taken care of.
Yes.
But 2006, Frontiers must have approached them for a record because that's how Frontiers Records works.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I'm assuming they put out an album in 2006 called Reach, and they brought back that logo. Thank God.
Yes. So they named it Jimmy Jameson.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's got Frankie Sullivan, Jimmy Jameson. You got Mark Drubay back on drums. Barry Dunaway on bass, who played with 38 Special, and Chris on keyboards.
Okay.
Yeah.
It looks good on paper, even though we don't have, Jim helping to write songs. I don't think he wrote anything on here, did he? He did. Fire Makes Steel.
Steel. Yep. Three of them. He's got three.
You've read three of them.
Yes.
Now, were those old songs, or was he briefly involved in this at all?
Briefly, and then they just decided to just keep going without him. This is kind of, I like this album. I would rank this as my least favorite. It's almost like a cross between Survivor and Jimmy Jameson solo stuff, which I recommend. I recommend Jimmy Jameson solo stuff. A lot of mid-tempo rockers on here. The title track, Fire Makes Steel. Give Me the Word is a great song, maybe my favorite. Half of My Heart's a good ballad, Don't Give Up. What's odd about this is Frankie Sullivan sings on 2 songs, Nevertheless, and what's the other one? I Don't. Which, you got Jimmy Jameson singing. Why do you need to sing a song? But he sounds okay on them. It's good. I like it a lot. I just don't love it like I do the other.
Well, must be something missing though. What's missing from it? Well,
it's Peterick, and I think the rhythm section. I know you got Drew Bay on drums, but him and Stephen Ellis really blocked horns and really kind of gave it that punch, which I think is missing. But it's for a swan song. I mean, if they ever do an album again, which I highly doubt, they went out on a high note to me.
Okay,
it's good. Like I said,
I like the album cover. I usually like what Frontiers does with packaging and all that.
Yes.
But it's a long. There is a Honeymoon Suite album that's out on Frontiers.
Oh wow!
I can't remember the name of the record offhand, but it's phenomenal.
Is it, they're the ones that were they the ones that did Feel It Again?
Feel It Again. Yeah,
great song. Boy, one of those guys sound like Triumph.
Yeah, kind of
a little bit. Like
all those Canadian bands all kind of sound similar. Well, not really, but you know what I mean.
Right.
But this got better reviews. All Music gave this 3.5 stars.
Yeah, it's solid. Like there's not a bad album.
Okay.
By these guys.
I mean, I have never heard this. I didn't even know it was out.
Yeah, give it a listen.
I'm intrigued by it because I don't know, why not?
Yeah.
So you don't think they'll ever put out another record, or you think they'll just be a touring band?
Yeah, touring. There's been talk over the years. I thought I had the guy's name written down who's singing for him right now. I don't think he's ever sang with anybody. But yeah, I'd be shocked. But what do we always say? Never say never. Right.
Well, we're not really doing a ranking video, but kind of. We're just doing looking at the whole band, looking at their career, just talking music. While we're at this point, before we get your ranking, well, we can do this both at the same time. You mentioned earlier, and I've already mentioned that in the beginning, I'm not a Survivor expert by any means. We have one here with us. Eric, if someone's getting into the band, and I always like to throw that out so people, they might like what you're saying, they might pick up what you're putting down. What would you recommend? Would you recommend like a best of for someone to get into Survivor, or would you just go to Vital Signs and just start there? I don't know. What's your thoughts on their comps and,
Yeah, as far as, they've had a couple, like, I mentioned earlier about their compilations. There's so many of them. The Ultimate Survivor one is good if you want all the hits remastered. The one that I have is Survivor's Greatest Hits. So this is Bickler came back to the band and they recorded 2 new songs. You Know Who You Are, which is almost like a cross between Survivor and Ides of March type of feel.
Okay.
And another song called Hungry Years, which is really good. And then this one's got, American Heartbeat, Burning Heart, Eye of the Tiger, Searches Over, some of the other hits, but this is maybe my favorite one.
So when was that released?
This one was released in 1993. So yeah, that's right when he got back into the band.
Okay, super. All right.
Yeah.
Well, check that out.
But there's enough compilations out there, but some of
people watching this, they really want the album. So If you were going to do your ranking, what would you rank it? We know that, well, Vital Signs is number one.
Number one.
What's your number two?
Caught in the Game.
What's your three?
Eye of the Tiger.
All right. Well, keep going. Four.
Number four, I had Too Hot to Sleep.
Okay.
I like this one. Number five, Premonition. Their second album.
Really?
Yeah. Number six, When Seconds Count. Again, love it.
You
Seven.
still love it, but they have to rank somewhere.
It's like choosing your favorite kid.
Right.
And then
Eric, I'm sure one day your ranking could change one day. Vital Signs is always number one, but I could ask you tomorrow. Yeah, those two could be higher tomorrow.
There's not too many bands that I can say, you always got those songs that from a band that you like more than others, every band. And then you got some of those ones that you're like, man, I don't know what they were thinking there. That sucks. I can't say that. There's not a song by Survivor that says, man, that song kind of sucks. I can't say that. I don't say that about a lot of bands.
And on Reach,
even on Reach,
be your least favorite, but still,
yeah,
the songwriting's there. We missed Jim because he was such a force in the band, but they are still able to pull it off.
They are. Yeah, they did. So you got some. So you got to get these all on Rock Candy there, Grant, and then give this one a listen.
I wonder if that's even available anymore.
This one,
I wonder if the Rock. Well, all those Rock Candy ones came out in 2010.
2010. When was this released? 2011. You were close. So yeah,
I'm looking.
Well worth it. The they got the bonus tracks on, I mentioned Burning Heart on When Seconds Count, the extended edition for Eye of the Tiger on the Eye of the Tiger album, and Rebel Girl on the debut.
I will say that by looking on the Rock Candy site, I don't see any Survivor up there anymore.
I think I was on that site about a month or two ago. I think they recycle and they're promoting the new ones that they've remastered. So that's my guess.
Well, they only can license this stuff for so long. So, it might have, I don't know. What do I know?
Yeah.
I love Rock Candy and what they put out.
Yeah, they do a really good job.
Yeah, but I do see some ones on here I don't remember seeing before.
Yeah, they got some obscure ones in there. I'm like, I never heard of these guys, but even on something like When Seconds Counts, where it's real keyboard heavy, they did a great job on this one. Kind of brought the punch a little bit to it.
I'm looking on Discog.
Yeah.
For giggles. I'm looking on here for giggles. Let me look.
And these guys never released like a DVD of a live concert, which is a shame. I have one. It's a live. This was released in 1985. A live in Japan.
I find it fascinating that a lot of these were re-released on Volcano. Volcano was the band, the label that it used to be Zoo Entertainment, and Volcano. It's all BMG. I think Volcano's BMG. God, I can't tell. Because I remember a lot of the Matthew Sweet stuff got reissued on Volcano, and the fact that Survivor got reissued on Volcano, I just find it interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how those really sold. I would assume that those were the ones that came out and were deleted. Their catalog's kind of a mess. It's not really a mess, but it looks like the original CD releases in the States were on Volcano, which seems odd.
Huh.
And then in 2010, that was Premonition. I'm looking at it, came out in 2001 on Volcano. I don't think there were any that out on Scotty Brothers.
After Scotty Brothers. Okay.
Let me look at Vital Signs, because didn't Vital Signs really come out in the CD era? Some of these other think about it, Eric. Some of these records, they never even got a CD release until later.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah, it was all on vinyl or cassette
Now,
tape.
Vital Signs came out on Scotty Brothers.
Yes. They were all.
But I'm looking at it, and you know what? I think that was mostly on vinyl too. Well, there's more. Scotty Brothers USA CD. Yep, there it is. And Scotty Brothers was released through like CBS, because obviously you can tell by the logo.
After they kind of went under, yeah.
Yeah, so they must have got sucked into CBS or Epic or CBS or so. I just think it's fascinating. They just were dealt kind of a bad hand with Scotty Brothers. You know what I mean?
Did you mention BMG?
Yeah, BMG had something to do with Volcano.
Well, that's who put out the live album or live CD.
No, when was that?
1985.
Oh, shit.
Unless they released this early, because like I was mentioning earlier, they don't have a live DVD or anything. Which, man, I love to see these guys. But this has got like a little mix of old and new on this one. 12 songs, some of the hits mixed with some of the deep cuts.
Well, I can't even find that. What's that called? Survivor what? Live
in Japan, 1985.
So is that a Japanese CD?
Yes.
Oh,
Japanese.
Okay, that's why I can't find it.
Yeah.
How is that?
That's good. Jimmy
mm-hmm.
Jameson sounds like Jimmy Jameson. Yeah, it's got Feels Like Love, Broken Promises, High on You, Eye of the Tiger, Caught in the Game. That's good stuff.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, what a way to end an episode. I didn't even know that existed. Awesome. All right, Eric, I want to thank you for coming on this. We've had a great discussion. We got a ranking video out of this as well. And we were just talking the band Survivor. If you like the band Survivor, down in the comments, tell us what record you like, what ones you don't like. Who's your favorite singer, for God's sakes? Have you seen them live lately? We were just curious. We're just talking music here in the Warehouse, and I do want to thank Eric for coming on, and it was a fun discussion. Hopefully, if you haven't listened to Survivor, because who's talking Survivor anymore? Check them out. I don't know.
That's quality over quantity.
I'm not sure if you can find anything in the bins anymore, but I did see something in the bins recently used, and it wasn't a Rock Candy CD. And now that I'm thinking about it, it was, what was it? Oh, I think it was Caught in the Game. I saw a used version of it, and I just didn't register my head, and then went back to.
Was it on vinyl?
No, it was on CD.
And, I wonder if that was like the original release.
It had to be. But was that on CD? It had to be.
It had to have been released. I know I had that on CD before I went and got these. So it was.
No, it was on. It couldn't have been that record, because this was. See, now it's been a while. It's been like 6 months since I've seen it. It wasn't that, because it was on Scotty Brothers. Might have been a later one.
It was probably labeled an import.
It might have been.
Yeah.
God, why didn't I buy it then? Dumb. And then I went back and it was gone. Of course it was gone.
Yeah.
So, but I'm pretty sure, I think it was Caught in the Game.
Yeah.
It just idiot me. We all make mistakes. It's not the first time where I've looked through a bin and I'm going, well, no one's going to buy that. I'll just come back. I don't want to get this all right the moment. And then I go back and it's gone. So, always get it when you see it, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, Eric, thanks for coming on talking Survivor. I'm sure we have something else in the pipeline, but I don't know. Maybe we don't. I don't know what's coming up. But thanks for coming on. It's fun talking Survivor, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, Grant.
You got it. All right, everybody. Have a good night.